Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. I hope you guys have been enjoying the music, and we're going to be starting now. I apologize if I randomly pause my speech during the webinar. As you guys noticed when you're joining, there is a waiting room, and my usual assistant that I have to help admit people is not available at the moment. So I'm going to have to be manually admitting people as they arrive. So for the late arrivals that's going to be coming in, I'm going to have to quickly pause to let them in. So I do apologize if there are any weird intermittent pauses while I'm giving the webinar. So as you guys know, today's topic is going to be multi-board design in Altium Designer. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to just be doing a brief overview of how to set it up, how you connect your different projects together in a multi-board project. And that will also cover some of the parameters that you need to put into your project in order to get it to work properly and such. For more advanced topics, feel free to reach out to me directly, and I'll be able to assist you guys with like on email via to get a better understanding of how to work with stuff. So first things first, before we get into the main topic of the webinar, I'd like to just cover, sorry, just a second. I'd like to just cover some of the things that EDA Technologies offers. So as you know, the PCB for everyone here is our key component. It's the most important part of everything that we're doing. So it's important that you get it right the first time, because otherwise you get costly respins, and it just ends up being a costly process to get the correct board done. So like I said, like you can see here, poor decisions can be embarrassing and rather costly. So how does EDA fit into all of this? Well, as you can see, we eat, drinks, and sleep PCBs. Everything we do is focused around printed circuit boards. So as I'm sure most of you guys know, we are the local reseller for Altium Designer, and we can help with everyone's subscriptions and such. If ever you guys run into any problems with your Altium Designer, you can reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to assist you as best I can. We also offer engineering and PCB design services. So say, for instance, you guys have got a full team of engineers and you've got your schematic all laid out nicely, but you guys need PCB layout, you can always come to us and we can assist you. We also are partnered with the NCAB group for bare PCB manufacture. So we can do all kinds of PCBs for you, from a simple 2-layer board all the way through to 10, 12 layer boards. If that's how far you're going, we can definitely assist you with all of that. And then we also do have courses and seminars. Due to the whole COVID-19 issues and such, we do have a bit of a downturn on our courses and seminars, because it's, again, not that easy to arrange that at the moment. But if you do need it, feel free to reach out to Roxanne. I'll be bringing up her contact details in a bit, and you can have a look there. So with regards to our online resources, you can see here we've got various different tools. This is all on our website, and links to Altium and NCAB's channels are also on our website, where you can get all sorts of documentation and such. I'll be showing some other white papers near the end of this that you can request if you would like them, and I'll be more than happy to email them through to you. All right. Like I said, we've also got support from our side, so we can help with PCB stack-ups, choosing the correct material to use for your particular project so that you get the right impedances, or your signals are correct. We can assist with high-speed layout design rules. You can actually send us your project and we can help panelize it for manufacture, which reduces wastage, which also in turn reduces the cost that it costs for you guys. That's the whole part of the design for manufacture. We can assist with the stackups for rigid flex design. We did discuss setting up rigid flex design in our previous webinar. All right, and then we can also help with thermal issues. And EDA Technologies also has access to EM Scan, so it's a desktop bench EMI scanning device. Look, it's not going to replace going to, say, for instance, ICAS and getting certification there, but instead of having to pay for the full test that they do, and then you get back and it's like, oh, your board failed, and then you have to go and respin, we can do a much lower cost quick scan, and we can say, okay, your board is likely going to fail because there's a high spike in this region of the board on this frequency. You might want to have a look at that, address that. It could be a crystal that's not correctly tuned. It could be you just need to increase some track and gap width there. It depends on what the issue is, but we can help you isolate it. And again, like I mentioned, we're partnered with Nordic Circuits AB and NCAB. I'm pretty sure a few of you already know them, but they are our top PCB manufacturer. Quality is the #1 thing with the NCAB group. Their circuit boards are really fantastic. We've never really had much because we've never had any problems with them, because NCAB Group doesn't supply cross-out panels. They've got managers on floor all the time to make sure that everything is kept up to a very high standard. So NCAB boards are fantastic. So as long as your board is designed very well, if you manufacture with NCAB, it's guaranteed to work. So here's our primary contacts that you can refer to. Veronica and Roxanne are your go-tos for if you need anything to do with Altium Designer. You can reach out to either Veronica or Roxanne. They'll be more than happy to help with getting a quote on additional licenses, or if you want to renew your subscription, feel free to reach out to them. They'll be more than happy to help. If you guys need any technical assistance with Altium Designer, feel free to reach out to me. Again, my name is Luke. I'm sure you guys know. You can reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to assist you with anything that you need. If you guys need printed circuit boards manufactured, you can reach out to any of us. We'll all be happy to assist you. And yeah, so moving on, we're going to start getting into our meat of the webinar as it is. So we're going to be working with Altium Designer 21.2.2. This is the latest version. If you're unsure if you're on the latest version, or if you can update to the latest version, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to assist you. And if you need help updating, again, reach out to me. I can help you through the whole updating to Altium 21.2.2. So I'm going to be switching over to Altium Designer Live now, where I'm going to be working with the Altium Designer sample mini PC board, which is a little miniature computer with 2 memory modules and a Wi-Fi module. I'll be showing you how you can set those up so that it can interface into a multi-board system. So let's switch over to Altium quickly. Okay, let's drag this across here. All right, so now I'm over in my Altium Designer workspace. You can see I've logged in and everything. And here you can see I've got my my multi-board project already set up. So say, for instance, you want to start a new multi-board project. That's easy enough. You go to File, choose New, and then you choose a project. So then it's going to bring this up. And what you do is, you can see I've got my location set here as the cloud, EDA Technologies, because all your projects can now be hosted in the Altium 365 cloud service, which is available to everyone who has a or licenses that are on subscription. So if you can upgrade to AD 21.2.2, you can use Altium 365. It's a really useful tool. But you can also select local projects, and then you can just select to create a default multi-board project, and then you can set it up. Okay, what's your project name? In this case, you can see here it's called Mini PC. So I'm just going to cancel for now, because we've already got 2 projects that's set in here, but I'll be showing you how to add a 3rd project, because how a multi-board project works is basically you take individual board projects and you compile them together into a larger project, which is creating the intelligent links between your various projects. So the primary part of a multi-board project is going to be the multi-board schematic, which I'm going to open here. So double click there, give it a few seconds, and there we go. So here you can see I've got a multi-board project open, or multi-board schematic. You can see here I've got my mini PC motherboard and 2 SODIMMs. These are the 2 memory modules, but you can see I don't have a Wi-Fi module and it's not listed in the parts on the side here. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to add our Wi-Fi module there. So just give me a second. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the project for the Wi-Fi module. So I just drag that in there from the side. And you can see here, I've got my mini PCIe Wi-Fi module now present in my workspace. But it's not yet part of, you can see if I collapse the source documents and such, you can see that it's not indented into the main project because it's not part of the multi-board project yet. But we'll be getting to that. First thing though that we need to do is we need to set up our parameters on the connectors for our various designs, so that Altium can understand that these are going to be the connectors that you want to use to connect your various boards together. So in this case, it's going to be P1, this PCI, this mini PCIe slot. They've put a connector here to represent the gold pins on the edge of the board. This is a good way of doing it. So what you do is you open the parameters or the component parameters here, and then under the parameters heading, we're going to add a new parameter here. So we're going to say parameter, and this new parameter is going to, where did it go? Show more, there we go. So this new parameter, okay, it's already there. So I forgot to remove it for this. So we're going to need to give it the parameter called system, and then give it a value of connector. This tells Altium that this particular component is a connector. So for this, we can just remove this one. And here you can see we've got the system parameter connector. So what we can do then is you just save this, and then we go back to our multi-board schematic, and we say place new module. And then you just draw a little rectangle to represent that new module, and then double click to open the properties. Let's just quickly separate that off there. Properties. So now here under source, we click on the source here, and it's going to bring up a whole bunch of different projects here that's available on your device. So you can see here, this is all some of these are PCBs that we've worked on. Others are PCBs that come already in part of Altium Designer. So you can see there is the Bluetooth Sentinel and such. For this case, we're going to be selecting the Wi-Fi PCIe module. So I'm going to not select that one in particular because I want to browse over to the one that I've got for the webinar. So just give me a second. So I'll go to the one here, I'll go to webinars, and I go to multi-board, select there, select this, and then I select the correct PCB project, and I click open. Okay, so it's throwing a bunch of warnings at me because there are quite a few warnings in the sample projects, but it's nothing major. It's just some electrical connection issues. So here we go. So now you can see the source has been set to the mini PCIe Wi-Fi module, and the assembly board is chosen to be the Wi-Fi PCB dock. So you can, if you've got multiple boards in a project, for instance, if you've got the panel board and the single board in the same project, you can actually specifically set that you want to use just the Wi-Fi PCB dock and not the panel, so that it will fit correctly into your display. So there we go. So we got that, and then we can also give this a designator here. So we're going to just call it M4. Oh goodness, so close there. So we're going to give it the designator of M4, and for the title, we'll just give it Wi-Fi, just so it's easy to identify. Now that we got that in, you can see that the Wi-Fi module on the projects panel has shifted into the main project structure. So we can minimize there, but you can see we don't yet have a link between the motherboard and the Wi-Fi module. So if I just click there, and just give me a second here. So I just need to just make sure that something's working on my side here quickly. Give me a second. Altium's lagging out a little bit now. All right, sorry folks, it's just taking a little bit because Altium's busy loading something here. So you can see my Altium's frozen up. I apologize. It's the whole streaming and running Altium at the same time. My computer doesn't like it. So there we go. So let's just move that over to this screen, make sure everything's right. Okay, so there we go. All right, so now we need to create the link between our Wi-Fi module and our main PCB. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say place, and then I'm going to say entry. And then you can see when I hover over the side there, it's got like a little arrow with a dot next to it. That represents your connector. So if I click, you can see it's called entry 1. And if I double click it, come on. You can see here, it's got a designator entry 1. So it doesn't have a part yet. Goodness. So if I delete that, sorry, I'm used to doing it the old way. They updated it in Altium 21.2 to be slightly different. All right, so here, under the properties, when you select it, you can click add, and then it will add your component property. Why is it not selecting the right thing again? No. Oh goodness, it's not selecting the part now. Just give me a second. It was working last night. I hate it when Altium does this to me. So if I bring this back, sorry, let me just bring this back. System connector, it is a property there. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out why it's not wanting to behave properly now. All right, just give me a second here. Because here you can see if I select, say, for instance, the soda module, you can see connector X1, and what its mated part is once it's set up. So you can see X1 is connected to part M1 here. And then you can see here it's done the same thing as well. But I can't figure out for the life of me why this is not behaving. So the connector on this side is P1. So if I select it here and then P1, come on. All right, just give me a second. All right, this is not wanting to behave with me now. And it's really frustrating because it was working just yesterday when I tested it. Okay, so it's not wanting to quite behave for me here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just quickly going to open another version of the project that I've got where it is behaving. So just give me a second, please. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to close the project tree there. Save none. All right, so my apologies for that, everyone. It's just a little foible that I'm having there. So what I'm just going to say is I'm just going to say open project, and then I'll just open it from, so examples, mini PC. I'll just open this one quickly because I know that the example project has it correct. So if I collapse these, you can see if I open this connector here, open this here, you can see again, the system is connector. And if I go over to the mini PC document here, and I click here, you can see here now that it's actually got the correct part. So let's just quickly delete that link so I can show you how you create that. My apologies again for the technical difficulties. It happens to the best of us, I guess. So now that you've got your module in and you've got your two connectors defined, how do we actually define the connection between the two boards? So what we can do is over here, we can say add wire, or if I hold, you can see you can either choose to have it a wire, a direct connection, cables, or harnesses. So essentially a harness is you can say, okay, well, these three boards are all going to connect into a harness that connects onto this connector here, for instance. Or in this case, we're going to be saying it's a direct connection because this is a mini PCIe device. So this will have a direct connection. So we click there, you select, as we hover over the little node for the connector on the motherboard, it highlights green. And you draw a line like you would on a regular schematic, linking the two. And there you can see our definition has been made. So what we can do is save this, and then I'm just going to quickly make sure that this mini PC multi-board assembly document, which is the second part of what you need, is set up correctly. So just give me a second. Again, I apologize for the bit of a technical difficulty. It was working yesterday when I was testing this to make sure that everything was working fine and that the project was ready to show you, and it's throwing technical difficulties at me. So let's just give this a second to open. Okay, so it's open. Let me just quickly move that over there. And okay, so there we go. So now this is, let's say this is, this board is now in the same state it was when I was working with the sample that I was going to show you guys. So as you can see here, we've got our mini PCB board. We've got our two memory modules that you can see over here. There's these two SODIMMs. These are the memory modules. And our mini PCIe Wi-Fi module would be going in on this slot here. So what we can do then is we say design, and we say import changes from mini PCIe project part. So we click there, and it brings up the ECO, like you're familiar with for when you're working with schematics and PCB documents. So we just say execute changes, and it will bring in the board. Just give it a second here. Okay, so there we go. You can see there's our Wi-Fi module. You can see it didn't automatically place it on the component because it doesn't know where exactly it's supposed to go. So by selecting this component, you see it's got a few little cardinal points here where I can drag it around, or I can just click in it and drag it around. So let's just move it close to where we need it to be. Just drop it down a bit. All right, so you can entirely just position this into place using these tools like that, but that's not exactly the most efficient, plus you won't necessarily get the correct alignment. So something else that you can do is you can switch to mating mode by clicking this little indicator there. You can also see, like, you can also bring up a section view, which will allow you to get X-ray vision into the connections and such. I'll show you that in just a moment. So we click on enable mating mode, okay? And now you can see my cursor has like a little node that's snapping to various points on the board. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the object that I would like to move. In this case, it's going to be this module. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select just inside here on the center point of the little notch there. Now, I select the next object. So in this case, I've selected on the long arm of the SODIM. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select on the inside of the step model here, I'm going to select the corresponding point. And when I do this, boom, it snaps the component or the board into position on the connector. And as you can see, it's nice and it fits quite nicely there. So that's how you mate two parts together. And another thing that you can do is, if I go over to the multi-board assembly here, you can see I've got two step files hidden. You can actually import your enclosure as well for the entire design, so that you can actually test the fit of all your boards put together inside the enclosure. So this is quite useful. I know a lot of you guys have done this before with when you've got a single board that goes into your enclosures, you've imported the step models directly into the PCB workspace. It's the same thing, except here you're just importing it into the multi-board assembly. So in this case, let's make the top visible as well. And you can see there's our mini PC. So that's a fantastic little function. But now let's say you've put the top cover on, but you're not sure if there's any collisions or something. So what we can do is we can turn on section view. Now here you can see I've got three like little walls essentially. And what I can do is I can drag this whole section about so that I can essentially slice through the object and see how everything fits together. Let's just drop you down a little bit so that we're viewing in the correct space. So here we can see, sorry, my mouse controls in orbiting this thing is a little bit off. But here you can see there's the Wi-Fi module that we just added and how that's fitting into the enclosure there. So if we just pull this back a little bit, sorry, let's pull it back just a bit. You can see how it's those tabs there of the connector are actually lined up with the pads of our connector. And if we want to inspect the RAM modules, we can shift this across as well. So we can inspect the two RAM modules as well, make sure there's no collisions happening between them. Now, a useful feature of the multi-board assembly, let's just turn that off. The useful feature of this is, if I remove these, is if you've got a flex rigid PCB, you can actually bring in your flex rigid PCB in its folded state into this view as well. So say, for instance, off of this PCIe header here, we would have a riser that's going to a small graphics card or some other PCIe mounted module, but we're not fitting it directly here. We're going to be fitting it against the lid over here, for instance, like where it would be here. You can actually have a flex riser that goes into here and will flex over to the extra board that you've added in, for instance. So I don't have a flex for the demo at the moment, but I do know that it is possible. I've seen a couple of videos by Altium Designer themselves where they've shown it off. So another useful thing is on the side, let's see if I can just get it to work, is if I say run an ERC, okay, what it will do, it will run a typical electrical rules check like you would on any, like on, say, for instance, just your soda module project itself. But instead, what it will do here is it will also check the net connections between here and here. So say, for instance, my Wi-Fi module here, if I go to there, you can see it's got all these pins that's going off to ground. It's got the USB connections going, that's connecting onto the ICs and such. What it would do is, let's have a look at the mini PCIe. Let's see, expand that quickly if it's going to behave with me. Come on, Altium. Okay, it's lagging out a bit. So here you can see there's all these. So as far as I know, I can't remember which page it's on. So I think that's it there, mini PCIe connector. So here you can see the USB comes in onto these and would connect to this. And then that obviously goes through a bus into, or a harness into another connection on the top level. So what Altium can do is, if I say, for instance, run an ERC, here you can see it's saying, okay, these pins aren't connected. There's a bunch of net names that don't match, etc. These are checks that you need to clear yourself, unfortunately. So I'm seeing that I'm running out of bit of time here, so I can't go too much into it. But there's one more thing that I wanted to show you, and it's the connection manager. So if I open this, here you can see all the connections that exist within your multi-board assembly. So in this case, you can see you've got a ground net that's going from one module to another, and you can actually do pin swapping to make sure that the various modules are connected correctly. So this is a way of checking to make sure that everything is connected correctly between your different modules. And the final thing I want to show you is, say, for instance, you've got a design with 4 boards like this. Now, you obviously need to assemble these boards at some point. So one thing that you can do is you can add a multi-board BOM document, which will incorporate all the components from all of the child projects from the multi-board project, and it will combine them into a single BOM, which will also say which module and assembly they're from. So here you can see I've just opened the BOM document, and if I sort by module assembly, you can see these components are all on the mini PCB, on the mini PC. These ones exist on multiples, so you can see it's on the mini PC and the one of the soda modules. Here you can see this is on the mini PC and on the Wi-Fi module, so C20. This particular capacitor exists on both of them. So this allows you to get an idea of, so let's say, for instance, this obsolete component. You can see that it's only going to affect our memory modules. So we know that there's 176 components that are now obsolete. But in this case, here we can see on this one here, for instance, this capacitor, across our Wi-Fi module and our mini PC, we've got 234 of these, and this allows it so that your buying staff know exactly how many to buy, because obviously you can sort your BOM documents by how many you actually want to produce. So let's say you're going to do a production run of 100. Now it's going to update everything for the correct price breaks for 100, and this is quantity per per unit, but here you can see there's the supplier unit prices and supplier subtotals, which will change as I change this. So if I do that, let's move the properties panel over to the other side so you can see these changes as I make them. So change it to, let's say, 1,000 that you're going to make. There you can see the supplier unit prices and the subtotals for the components have updated. Now, all of this is, you can do outputs of all of this from the typical out job folder. So let's just collapse everything here. And if I right click here, you can see I can add an output job folder. And I'll just briefly cover what's covered in there, and then we can move on. So just give me a second here. If any of you guys have any questions so far, feel free to type them into the chat panel. I believe you can access that by clicking on the More tab on your Zoom thing. If you guys have any questions, feel free to just drop them into the chat. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you might have. So you guys can start typing those up so long, just if you've got anything that you want to ask. So here you can see just across on this side for documentation outputs, you can see you can output 3D PDF, which I know a few guys have used before. So I see Matthew is asking if we can send the recording. I'm recording this webinar, as you can see. So we're going to be making it available for on-demand viewing off of our website. So we'll send you a link for that as soon as it's available, Matthew. So then on the assembly outputs, you can see that you can't really add much there. But for exports, you can export a step or parasolid. So basically 3D CAD models of your multi-board assembly. So in case you guys don't have the enclosure yet, you can then output, this is what the entire assembled unit will, the assembled boards will come as a unit as, and you can send that then through to your MCAD department so that they can make up an enclosure for you. Under fabrication output report outputs, you can generate your bill of materials from the active BOM, which is this BOM document here. This is the active BOM. So you've got a few documents that you can output, but it's not to the same level that you would, for instance, each individual PCB. So you would need to still output your various assembly documents and Gerbers for each individual PCB that's part of the assembly document. But this is more so that you can give this to the guys that's going to be doing final assembly of your units, so they know how everything goes together. So for now, that's the main points of the multi-board assembly. Is anyone else got any questions with regards to multi-board assembly that I can address? Or all right, I'm not seeing any activity happening in the chat panel. I'm not sure if anyone's typing up anything. If someone does type through something, I'll come back to it then in a moment. So like I mentioned near the start of the webinar, we do have some Altium white papers on some various different topics. I did mention the rigid flex. Feel free to reach out to me if ever you guys want a copy of these. I've got them all on my side. I can email them through to you. You can also contact us for a copy of the NCAB portfolios if ever you want to just know what NCAB's manufacturing capabilities are. We can be more than happy to send those through to you as well. So like I mentioned as well, if you guys need additional Altium licenses or renew on subscription, feel free to reach out to Roxanne and Veronica. They'll be more than happy to assist. And if you need help with anything else, feel free to reach out to any of us. We'll be more than happy to assist you with anything that you need. Thank you all guys for attending the webinar, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Cheers then. Have a good day further. Bye.